everybody. Welcome to the Fired Up with CJ show. Today we're going to be talking about LinkedIn, the power formula for success. And we have Wayne Breitbarth here talking about this book. So welcome, Wayne.
Hey, CJ.
It's
Great to be on your show today.
it's exciting to have you here. I realize that I am a LinkedIn neophyte. So I really don't know anything about LinkedIn. I cut and paste my resume up there and it looked awful. I updated it just recently, but I know nothing. So I'm really excited to find out all about how to use LinkedIn ideally for doing thought leadership, coming up with a business profile, and then if we have time, talking about it for job search. So I know that you're a thought leader in LinkedIn. How are you using LinkedIn to its maximum potential for getting the word out so that you can do more workshops, more speaking engagements? How are you using LinkedIn and how has it helped your business?
So the thing about LinkedIn and most people are in the space you're in. So
Yeah.
when,
Okay, I
when you
don't feel
said
so
that,
bad.
well, no, you do not have to feel alone on that deal.
Okay.
And most people have done just that. They have a profile, they have an account, and they're still wondering when something's going to happen, just from being on it.
Right.
So the way you sort of go from hoping something's going to happen to making something happen is really twofold. Get your profile right,
Hmm.
number one. Number two, once your profile's right, use the database to find the people you want to meet more of and find them on LinkedIn, make a connection, and then begin a conversation that either you can keep on LinkedIn or move off. So so the beginning, that first step, and the reason I do the profile before all the other stuff is because if your profile's not right and you start attracting people by sending invitations to people in your target audience, and you come over to profile and go, what? That's all? I mean, are you kidding? I thought he or she was better than that.
Right.
You know, so you got to get the profile right. And the profile's really right when you know the people who you typically are targeting, if they land on your profile and they go, wow, I understand him. I see what he does. It's right in my wheelhouse. I need that product or service, or I need his kind of expertise. But if they're not in your target audience, they read it and go, well, that's interesting, but I'm not interested. Instead of landing and going, not sure,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's the not sure profiles, and most of them are not sures because people have approached them like a resume.
Mm.
Just this morning, somebody says, "What do you think of my resume? My profile isn't it good?" I said, "Well, it's good if you're looking for a job." No, I'm a
Mm.
salesperson. I said, "Well, it's not written. If I was in your target audience, I can't even tell what you sell, man."
Mm.
And so the two strategies on getting your profile right is really making clear a lot of clarity to your target audience, and number two, making sure that you've got that profile loaded with keywords, because after all, LinkedIn is just this beautiful database, and we know databases are triggered by things like keywords.
Okay, I'm going to loop
Whether
back to what you said. So
yeah,
clarity on what? Like clarity on like what? Because you were telling for that salesperson, when you think about, and we're not picking on this per person who came up to you, but if you,
yeah,
and, so this person had something that looked like a resume, which is exactly what mine looks like, but instead, this is actually what should have that salesperson put on it to give clarity. Clarity for
yeah.
what?
They should know what you sell, what why you're better than your competition, what makes you unique, uh, who are the clients that you serve. So it's almost the same kind of stuff that we are all pretty good at putting on our websites now.
Yes, yeah.
It can be the same information. You don't have to recreate the wheel here. Now
Oh,
you need to move it over from your website, which sounds like a website, to this is me,
right.
this is what I do, right? Talking to first person.
Right. And how does
That's the
one do
clear.
that effectively? Because I've seen a whole bunch of different strategies where some of it's like, sounds like resume speak, accomplished business person with 30 years of experience, blah, blah, blah. So I've seen that kind. And then I've also seen like, I'm a fun guy who likes to have, exciting opportunities. It's like a narrative. So which do you think is better? And a website is very different. A website would be, I'm going to pretend that I'm you, right? If I'm doing yours, right? One may look like accomplished, or I'll do mine, okay? Accomplished business person with 25 years of working in Fortune 500 companies, okay? The narrative story is, You know, I really love working with clients. It's one of the things that brings me a lot of joy. I've done it for like the last 18 years, whatever. And I've been doing corporate training recently. And the third is come to us. I work with HR professionals and senior executives who want to make sure that they hire the right people and manage people to perform to their highest excellence. So, like, one's a marketing, one's a resume, one's a narrative. Do you think that all three styles work?
I think it's the last two.
The last
I
two.
think, and I think the reason I don't like the first one is because it sounds like it's a newspaper article about you, and we're not having a conversation.
Right. I'm
You know,
dead, possibly. It's like my
exactly
obituary.
right. Or you're writing in the third person like you think you're a professional athlete or something.
Okay.
Sometimes they talk like that, you know.
Yes.
It's the second two. It's you talking like we're having a cup of coffee, but then that other chunk that you mentioned at the end was these are the people that I serve,
Okay.
right? So to fit that bill. Usually the hurdle to where I get people to go, the aha moment becomes when I say write in the first person,
Mm-hmm.
and then act like we're having a cup of coffee for the first time. And I
Mm.
said, so you got to tell me about yourself. And then
Right.
the other thing I tell people is this: let your mother, and I'm a little tongue in cheek with this,
Right.
have your mother read your profile. And if she goes, oh, that's my boy, isn't he good? I tell you, I'm just so proud of him. Then you'd go, hey,
Right.
it was impressive. And
Right.
we do have to impress.
Right. So it's kind of it's the aw shucks, and or is it it's a aw shucks, I'm just like a human being and I like eating peanuts and I did yoga, or is it like I'm really, I've done these really exciting workshops. I've done 3 workshops. I've had breakthrough results. One sounds more braggy. The other one's more like, ah, shucks, I'm such a nice person. Get to know me qualitatively. Between those, now I'm focusing on option 2 and 3. Which do you think is kind of the better approach?
Yeah. So I'd stay away from the peanuts and the yoga unless you sold peanuts or sold yoga,
Right.
right? I think a little bit of personality flavor,
Okay.
a little bit,
Right.
because you don't want to seem robotic. But you got to remember, this site is used for business purposes. It's not Facebook, but yet I do like a little personality, because if I meet you for the first time, I might want to hire you as a website designer. But I think it's very interesting that on the weekend you play an instrument in a classic rock band,
Right. Okay.
right? But I don't need to know where your gigs are and all this stuff.
Right.
But I think it's a conversation starter, right? I mean,
Right.
we do look for things to sort of have a friendship and an interest with each other, even though we are going to do the website together or whatever,
Right.
right?
Right. Got it. Okay, got it. And is that kind of that LinkedIn profile that's for a business? Now, let's say that you're looking for a job. Would you have the same kind of? Would it be a cut and paste of your resume, or still you're looking at these two, or these? I'm looking for a company where I'm looking for startup companies, working for a mid-sized start. I've worked in large startup or in the high tech industry. So let's say that I was looking for a job in marketing, which is what I used to do at Microsoft. I'd be looking for a job in high tech marketing, in small to medium companies. Like, would I put that kind of stuff in that narrative and as a job seeker, or is that something different, altogether
As
different?
as a job seeker, you should write your profile so that if I'm either a recruiter or an HR person that either is tasked with finding people like you, or an HR person who wants to hire people like you, that when they read your profile, you would explain to me why they would be crazy not to interview you for the positions that you fit with your experience.
Okay, so it's a narrative form. It's not like the resume block. Like, I know the LinkedIn has like a little intro, and then there's like a resume chunk below it. So we're talking about the little intro there.
Well, I'm really talking about this the
Overall
strategy
thing.
of the whole thing. Exactly. You get these little chunks, like there's your headline.
Mm-hmm.
Your headline is right below your picture.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That 120 characters, I think the one you're referring to, that 120 characters should be a headline. And guess what? Headlines in newspaper articles and blogs are for one purpose. Read it. If you're interested in that, you'll read more.
Right.
Okay. So that's what the headline's for. Then the new section that shows up now with the new format it's called an intro, and it's the first 200 characters of your summary.
Mm-hmm.
that first 200 characters should give people another quick snippet, maybe even have your contact information at that point,
Mm,
with just a quick snippet about those 200 characters, so that if I want to click, I'll see more, and your complete summary will open.
mm,
And that is before you get to the chunk that's named experience.
okay, got it. Okay, so
So
that's
your
what you're
summary
talking
is
about.
like the cup of coffee, right? The summary is like the cup of coffee. The thing is, it's not open until you click to see more. But if the 200 characters aren't interesting and the headline's not interesting, then they'll never click it open.
Right. Yeah, it's like direct marketing. You have to actually have like they have to open up the envelope or open up the email. So it's like the headline is equivalent of the subject in the email or whatever that was and mailers that no one ever reads anymore. But in marketing, it's the email subject line and then it's the first 2 or 3 sentences to 200 characters. And then in this case in LinkedIn, they'll click if they want more. And then the rest you're saying is this kind of, is it the rest done in a standard kind of resume speak or?
The individual listings will look like a resume, but under the new format, your most current job is completely open, and you can put 2,000 characters there, your
Mm.
most current job entry. All the rest are listed, but then it says see description if you want to it opens. So
Ah,
that
okay.
so the new format is all about clean, but things are closed, where it used to all be open and you'd scroll down these big chunks of content and everybody would sort of stop and start. Now they're all closed except for the very first job entry. So the new strategy is headline, 200 character intro, and first job entry better be just spot on.
Right. And is that a resume speak or is that more of a narrative? Like,
It's still narrative. I think it's still narrative. It's still first person. It still sounds like you. But yes, when you get into experience, it's going to be more about I accomplished this. We did this as a team. I was part of this. I got promoted. There'll be
mm,
more resume kind of content. But I don't want it to start sounding real robotic. I still want you to flow with I'm having a conversation with you. You're interested. You keep reading, and I'm still talking to you.
okay, got it. Okay, got it. And we can look at your resume, your LinkedIn profile to get a sense of what we should do.
You got it, my friend.
Okay. Okay. So you said clarity is the first thing, and then you said it has to be loaded with keywords. And there's keywords so that you are found and you find the right people, right? Is that what is the keyword? What is the where are the keywords sprinkled throughout this whole thing, and how
Yeah.
does that affect who finds you and who you find?
So the strategy that I'm speaking of now is not so much the keywords that you're going to find people.
Okay.
That's the second half of the strategy.
Okay.
On the profile strategy, it's really just all about the keywords that you think people are going to Google you for your skills, your products and service if you're a salesperson, your expertise. It's what do people Google, or in this case, maybe search on LinkedIn, to find you. So like when I was in office furniture,
Right.
my keyword, of course, was my
Office
number one
furniture.
keyword, office furniture, right?
Right.
But then there were subcategories like cubicles,
Mm.
desk, chairs,
Mm-hmm.
interior design was a service we did, warehousing was a service we did. Now we would in marketing speak, we always want to say, we do the space you want and the experience you
Right.
deserve.
Right.
There's not a keyword in there.
Right. Right.
People would read that statement, and that was our tagline, and they go,
Right.
does Wayne like sell real estate, or does he
Yeah. What does
sell
he do?
parts of Mars because it's space or something?
Right.
Like
Right.
where that was not clear and it wasn't searchable, right?
Right. Okay, got it.
So
And so you're sprinkling these keywords throughout the whole LinkedIn profile. So just like search algorithm, there's probably a LinkedIn algorithm. Do you know what the LinkedIn algorithm is? Or I know it's probably not like
yeah,
published anywhere, but
right. So you're right. It's magic. It's magic, and you do need to sprinkle them throughout your storytelling. But here, I'll give you the three spots that, after testing and testing and testing,
hmm
that are the hot spots.
okay.
I know if you put the words in here, your profile will move up faster because I do it every day of the week with my clients.
Right.
Hotspot number one, headline.
hmm
That's the 120 characters under your picture. Hotspot number two, any and all of your job titles. Now you would say, Wayne, my job title is my job title.
hmm
Well, you get 100 characters for every job title. So let's say you're a business coach.
hmm
Your title says business coach, but you specialize in working with entrepreneurs and sales executives, let's say.
Right. Okay.
Right after business coach, I'd put in parentheses, specializing in helping entrepreneurs and sales coaches achieve their growth objectives or something like that. And
Ah,
that way you're getting entrepreneur and sales coach and growth in that keyword line.
okay. That's in the job title line.
You get
Right.
100 characters, you should use them all because, and then let's say even in your past, you led a sales team
Right.
and you're thinking, well, I'm getting searched for my job coaching and I do coach VPs now. I'm going to go back in my old job that said vice president. I'm going to put specializing, and I'll put specializing in sales, marketing, growth, right? So every
Oh.
job title, you can go back to your past job titles, and LinkedIn will like the fact that you've had 4 jobs, and every time you had a job, the word sales was in there.
Right, whether that was like a really tiny part of your job or a gigantic part or is it sole part of your job, the fact that you have sales in each of the 4 job titles, like okay, this person must actually. So, for example, let's say that like my husband is a thought leader on artificial intelligence. So if he put but not all of his jobs have been like he's been focusing on that for the last 5 years, but then he's actually been doing technology and all the different other years. So he couldn't necessarily put artificial intelligence in each of them, but he could put technology, technology, technology. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah. First off, you never want to lie.
right?
He could, so you don't, he doesn't spin back and do that, but maybe he thinks about some of the other keywords that still do apply to his current job and his going forward strategy,
Right.
and he amps up those 2 or 3 in those old jobs. So you got it spot
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Okay, what's kind of challenging is figuring out what keywords are the best keywords, right? Because I don't.
It's not as challenging as you think, because like if you have a website, you've probably already thought that through,
Yep.
right? We all have to do. If you're a job seeker, it's real simple because all you got to do is look at job postings.
Right. Oh, I see. Got it. So you're just like,
Right.
VP of marketing. So I just put like marketing, marketing, marketing all over the
And even
place.
past that, if you're a VP of marketing, then it says, but you got to know how to use Salesforce and you got to know how to use data analytics. And well, those are words too that somebody's going to go, I'm looking for a VP of marketing, but they got to know how to use Salesforce because we already have that. And I don't want to interview people that don't know how to use Salesforce.
I
Right.
see. Got it. I see.
Yeah. So you'll so the keywords are not as hard as you think to find. And you know how else here's how else you find keywords. Look at profiles of other people that have the exact same position in different companies as you do, or
Mm,
have the job that you want if you're a job seeker.
hmm.
Also go look at other people's websites, because everybody has optimized our websites these days because we know
Yep.
that that's important.
Right.
So that's the second spot is job titles. The third hot spot is the skill section.
Hmm.
In
Oh,
the
okay.
skill section, you get to have up to 50 words in your skill section, and those skills are rearrangeable. Most people don't realize that. They think they just
Thank
fall in there,
goodness.
and thank goodness is right, because LinkedIn has almost forced some words into your profile if you weren't watching,
Mm-hmm.
and some of those words may not be as key to you as LinkedIn's guessing.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to always clean up your skill section and get the right words in there, and then rearrange them so that the right ones are near the top, because if they're near the top, they're going to get more endorsements, and more endorsements will cause the search engine to throw you higher in a search for those words.
Oh, interesting. So I have a lot of LinkedIn recommendations for my job as a coach. So because I have a lot of those, that means like somehow coach or whatever wherever the recommendations are connected to, I'm going to be thrown up higher on their search algorithm.
Yeah, and recommendations are different than endorsements. So I want to make sure I'm clear on that.
Oh,
And recommendations are where somebody writes 2 or 3 sentences about how
yes,
good you are.
yes.
Those are good, but the search engine doesn't pick up quite on those the way it does endorsements against specific skills. So,
Oh,
like, because
yeah. No, I
LinkedIn
know
was
endorsements. Yeah,
yeah,
the people who are like, yes, she's in marketing. Yes, she's strategic. Yes, strategy
right.
planning. Blah blah blah. Oh, that's what they're. Oh, that's fascinating.
And if you think about it, LinkedIn was trying to find a way that they could move people to higher up in a search if they look like they're better than other people at something.
Ah.
LinkedIn, coaching, artificial intelligence. Before a recommendation could be written for you, and it's a wonderful recommendation, but it's just one person saying that. Where if you get if it
Right.
says in artificial intelligence and you got 45 endorsements, it's sort of like Yelping for people, right? We're all getting
Right.
sort of this score. And it's easier to score if it's just one word that's now sitting on your profile. And that's why they started the skill section
Okay,
with
so
the.
the endorsements, I don't even know where the endorsements came from. So like did they pre-pop it seems like they've pre-populated those endorsements. Could I sneak one in there? Like let's say I haven't done right now I'm working with a lot of HR people, so I don't have a lot of work. I'm doing management consulting within companies, but not management. Like it's working with the managers to get their teams to be more productive. It's kind of group coaching, I guess, is what I would describe it. So that's a new thing. So I don't have that in all of my different. I can't. I've been doing coaching throughout
Well,
my whole
you
experience.
you can put any word you want in there. You can get rid of any word you want in there.
I can for endorsements.
Yep, for skills. And endorsements go against skills. So
Okay.
you load your skills up, and the endorsements follow the words that are in your skill section.
Oh, I see. Okay, so I don't even know what I put in there.
You
As
you
I
got
said.
you got well. See, here's what happened when skills started 3 years ago. Nobody knew what they were.
Right.
LinkedIn just came out with this new thing,
Right.
and LinkedIn started guessing from information on your profile what your skills were. And if I landed on your profile, they'd say, "Do you want to endorse CJ for these things?" You never picked a word yet, but they wanted to get us started.
So they pre-populated with stuff. I see. So I can actually go and tweak those endorsements.
Yeah, and
Oh,
you should X out of the ones that you go, "How did this get here?" Right? And there will be some like that, but then you'll put things like team coaching,
right,
right? Because LinkedIn doesn't understand the team coaching thing with you yet because let's say it's new.
right.
But if you're doing it, you should put team coaching and then rearrange and grab that team coaching and put it up near the top so that next time I land on your profile or next time LinkedIn encourages me to endorse you, it goes, "Oh, CJ's doing team coaching now."
Okay, got it. I get it. So those are interesting things about the algorithm. It's so I'm hearing two things. You said the two most important things is clarity, and the clarity is your message. Who are you and what you're all about, both the narrative as well as in kind of a marketing form. And then the second is figuring out the keywords that are riddled throughout. Like pick the and does one pick like two keywords, three keywords? How many keywords are like it kind of
It,
depends.
it it boils down to what are the words that people are using. So it might be more than one or two. You'd love life to be so simple as it's only one or two, but
Right.
most of us it's more than one or two.
Okay. All right. So
You know,
the interesting thing is, so if I were to run one for my business, I would go over to Google AdWords and actually figure out which words most people are querying. Or there's this called BuzzSumo is another one. Is there one? Is there anything for LinkedIn, or is it the thing that you mentioned, which is if you're looking for a job, you just look at the job descriptions and go, okay, they're probably going to type in Salesforce. They're going to type in, um, you know, strategic planning, and then just riddle those in there. So is that how
so
you
you,
figure
you,
out those
you
keywords?
the Google AdWords, good idea. BuzzSumo, good idea. Looking at other people's profile, good idea. But when you're in your skill section, you can actually, there's a box that says add skill. Let's say I type in real estate.
Right.
LinkedIn will put below the word real estate all of the skills that exist in the LinkedIn database that have the word real estate.
Oh,
And those are the most
perfect.
popular ones. So it will help you and prompt you and say, well, is it real estate development? Is it real estate sales? Is it real estate management? And then
Right.
when those come up, you should think to yourself, I do that one. I don't do that one. I'm not going to click that one. And it'll grab those. And you know that those are popular because you got prompted by LinkedIn.
Ah. Okay. These are
That's why
just
when you put
gems.
coaching,
No wonder
yeah,
you're the LinkedIn guy.
that's why like you go in there and you put coaching,
Right.
and the word coaching is hot. That's a great word.
Right.
But then it will say team coaching, one-on-one coaching. And you just grab the ones that also are besides just generic coaching.
Okay, got it. Wow.
Because you get
Okay.
50, so you got room for
Right.
this those specific types of coaching.
Right. So we've been talking about individual profiles for someone who is like yourself, like a thought leader or someone who's looking for a job. What other types of things? If you're a thought leader, which you are, right? So you're getting your materials out there. I actually am. Like we're going to be doing this radio show, and where you're a thought leader, I want to actually publish all this stuff and make sure that people know that I, as a business coach, am offering really helpful information. You want to correspondingly go and onto your LinkedIn and say, like, look, I'm an expert. See, this person on the radio is interviewing me. So how does one do that with the feeds? Like right now I have something that says share. I share it in LinkedIn. I have no idea where it goes. I'm not sure who's getting it. I'm completely ignorant about when I go over to LinkedIn and share it, what's happening and how to really maximize the share of my content that I'm creating on the LinkedIn network.
So the sharing of content is a little bit tricky, and there are several kind of channels that you can follow.
Hmm.
First off, you can message any of your connections.
Okay,
In other
that
words,
seems kind of obnoxious, though, is it?
well, it's definitely obnoxious if you're going to try to do a bunch of people at the same time, thinking, okay, I'll put 50 people's name in this thing and send them a link to this article that I
Right.
wrote. That's not the way to use the messaging.
Okay.
Messaging is meant to be really a one-off,
Hmm.
but you know darn well it's going to get in their mailbox.
Right. Okay. So it's like
So
someone like a
if it's
client that I worked with. I'm like, hey, you may be interested in
I
this
wrote
LinkedIn.
bingo. Right. So you use messaging, but you use it sparingly.
Hmm.
But then there's a thing called status updates. And status updates are where, let's say, you just wrote a blog article and you grab the link and you share it on LinkedIn as a status update. That status update will go to some people that you're connected to, not all,
Hmm.
but some, based on an algorithm very similar to how Facebook handles its feed. Not everything makes it into everybody's friend feed on Facebook, and they don't make it into every feed on LinkedIn, every connection, because the feed is filled with advertising and other stuff too.
Hmm.
So your feed is going to anything you put in a status update is going to get watered down. But your feed, your activity feed, shows up on your profile always, so that if I'm checking you out for the first time, I can see what you're sharing and writing, even if I'm not connected to you, and I'll look at that and go, oh my goodness, look at, she's written these 3 articles. She's also sharing these other articles around the same space that she's expert at. Boy, look at, she's a real thought leader here.
Okay.
Right.
Got it.
And I can see that even if I've never been connected to you. So even though you think, well, if I post this status update, how many people are going to see it? Well, as many as LinkedIn wants, and shares and likes happen to move it up and all that. But by having your activity section on your profile have some stuff in it, it shows that you are doing that even if I'm not connected. So that's really important.
Okay, so there's one-on-one shares and there's share from one to many. And how do I even do one of those shares? When I'm going into my web tool and it goes share LinkedIn, is that sharing my
That's it.
update?
That is that, and that's the simplest thing to do. When
Okay.
you're on your own blog or you're reading somebody else's
Yes.
blog, there's the little in button, right? In
Yes.
Facebook. Just hit that in button, and that's the easiest way to do it. And put a little comment about how you like the article, and then to push share.
Okay, got it.
Now, there's another technique that I think you're going to love.
Okay.
Let's say you posted an article, and hopefully it was an article maybe that you wrote about coaching,
Yeah.
and I wanted to make sure that you saw that I then shared with my network. And I was
Okay.
giving you some love on that
Right.
situation, right?
Hmm.
I would go in there and say thanks at CJ, and I put an at sign before I start typing. The at sign tells LinkedIn I'm going to start searching your network, Wayne, for all the CJs. The minute your name shows up below after the at, I click it, and then it grabs your name out of your profile. And it says, thanks at CJ. This was a great article. My network's going to love this. And
Hmm.
I'm going to do this with our broadcast here. Once this is shared, I'll be able to go in and say, thanks, CJ, for having me on your, and I'll say at CJ. And then guess what happens? You're going to get pinged in your inbox that Wayne Breitbarth mentioned you in an update. So you're going to, oh, that's cool. Wayne mentioned me. But then your name to my friends is now linked to your profile, and they go, who's this CJ person? Boom, off to your profile. My friends go.
Right. Okay. So it's very similar to Facebook or Google, where it's like I plus someone or I at someone, but it's the
Yes.
same exact thing. Is there? And so a lot of the stuff is etiquette, which sometimes people don't know the etiquette. And the etiquette on Google Plus is different than Facebook, and that's different than Twitter. So, what's the etiquette on LinkedIn for sharing? I mean, there's some seems like common etiquette. If someone holds the door open for you, you say thank you. If someone shares your post, you say thank you. I assume. Do you? I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I do. No, that's definite the etiquette. Thanking people for sharing. You don't have to share for every like,
Right.
But if somebody shares, you should thank them.
Right.
But the other etiquette is if I want to get your attention,
Right.
let's say we've had a conversation, but it's been a long time, and we're having trouble connecting, and maybe I've even dropped a few voicemails in, and you've been busy.
Right.
If I want to catch your attention, the at mention sign is a great way to do that. Now, if I did that for straight days, you'd
Yeah.
go, "Wow, who is this stalker weird
Right.
guy?" Right? So that's where I broke the etiquette, right?
Right. Right. But if you like, let's say that you've done a LinkedIn presentation like every year for X company, and you know that their annual budget is coming out, and you kind of want to get in their radar so that you're like remember me during your annual budgeting. So you may say like at let's say that I don't know like at company X.
Sales at the VP of sales, whatever his name is, let's
Right.
say it's you. And what I would do, I'd even do it this way. Let's say I just wrote an article about the latest happenings on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
I'd share the article and I would say, "Hey, at CJ, be sure to check this out. This is the kind of information that your sales team may need at this year's event. Hope I can see you at that," or something.
Right. Okay. Got it. Okay. Got it. So it works the etiquette and how you use it, but I assume it's like brief emails. Like you don't want to be like, "Hey, it was so great seeing you, CJ. Here's an article that like it's is it like a Twitter kind of like two
Yeah, you can
sentences?"
go a little more than that. Twitter's at 140.
Right.
You can actually go up to like 700, but it does sort of collapse and everybody won't see it. But you don't want to have a long, drawn out
Yeah.
conversation between you and I, right? That's not the place for it.
Yeah, but is it typically like, are you really kind of Twitter like, hey, what
Yeah,
like the thing that you gave, like great content, think people will enjoy it for blah, 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 whatever it is, just
yeah.
giving
I
the
would say you
context.
can go a little more than a Twitter to maybe 200 or something.
Okay, but that's kind of like, don't be obnoxious, do 200
Sure.
words.
Yeah. To me, if you got 400 or 500 characters, that should be a phone call or a regular email.
Oh, well, Google Plus, a lot of them are like 400 characters, like they're
Yeah.
really, Google Plus has a completely different etiquette where it's
No
like
question.
yeah, they're completely different. So just wanted to check if LinkedIn was similar or different. So so the ways to like get your word out there, share messages sparingly to individual people, basically get your share your updates because that will get into your profile generally and it gives you credibility. And then what was the other thing that you said? Was that the two primary ways to and then you said the third
Or
was
using that at mention
I mentioned okay, that's another way of getting some more kind of activity to your
traction.
profile.
Right.
Um,
Yep.
so those are those the primary ways to like get your word out about the stuff that you're doing?
I mean, another way is the groups. I mean, groups are still an important part of LinkedIn, and you can go into a group that, let's say, your target audience is involved in and you're involved in, and you can go in and look at the conversations that are being posted and get involved in a conversation that's previously posted, or you can grab some information to share it in the group as you're sharing it into that group, and you'll get attention with that.
Okay.
You know,
So
you
is
won't
it
get quite as much attention as you used to in groups. LinkedIn is still trying to figure out what's going on there, I think, but it's still a place where it's an audience that you're not attached to yet that you want to start bringing some people over to your profile, and that's a technique for sure.
but is it cool to do that? You know what I mean? Like there's one what I can't remember what there's one social media where it's not cool. Like if you promote your own stuff, you start getting like
Yeah.
shoved
See,
down to
you
the
don't,
bottom.
and you just used an interesting word, promote,
Right.
right? If you're bringing educational information, especially if it's not always your blog,
Mhm.
right?
Mm.
That's cool. If every time you show up, it's your blog, and at the end of your blog, it's buy my stuff,
Mm.
then the managers will typically pick up on that and go and give you a warning. At least that's what they should do if they're doing it right. Hey, Wayne, by the way, here's the deal. Every time you show up here, that's all you're doing.
Right. It's
And
promoting.
that's not what this is for, man. And and that's what's supposed to happen is we're supposed to be there to engage and share other people's stuff as well as ours, engage in other conversations, but not just come in and spam your group every month,
Ah,
every
okay.
long, right?
Okay.
And it's a fine line, right? Because
Yeah.
it's a judgment call.
Well, I mean, I assume that all the info, like if you have a blog post, I mean, it seems like it's loaded with information. It's helpful to people. By the way, it's written by you, but it's still really helpful. Like for me, I have radio shows where I'm doing like, you know, one person a week of a different expert like yourself. So it seems like that would be useful. They're all HR related. If I went to an HR group, would that be considered obnoxious?
So what I would do first is always go look at the group rules.
Okay.
And the group rules will be most times very specific to say no posting of your own blog.
Okay. Oh, okay, got it. So some of them have rules like that.
Yeah, and they should have rules. And if they don't have rules, then you're in good shape. Do just what you're talking about.
Right. But if
You
they
know?
have rules like you can't go, spamming your stuff, like this is like we're here to help each other. And is it okay to ask questions? Like I'm kind of curious about like I put together a whole PowerPoint presentation. It took 40 hours to put this PowerPoint because it's like a lot of intellectual property went in and research, and it took a while to wordsmith it and do beta testing, whatever. I have no idea how much to charge for this, because the client, I'm doing it for the behalf of the client, but it's a lot of work for one client. I don't know if I should charge him my normal rate or a lower rate. Like, could you ask those kind of questions online, or is it like, don't ask?
I mean, if you're if you're in a group about publishing content, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's a great question.
Okay, but not HR professionals, like the people who I'm
Right.
charging, like don't ask them.
No, I would the question you've got is a great question for content publishers going, at what point do you charge for a piece of content?
Okay, got it.
I'd ask that question. And then as the conversation starts, and you may even say, at what point do you charge for content? I've written this ebook and I'm not sure when it should be free versus paid. And then all of a sudden, and just leave it at that. Don't go into your feelings. What are your thoughts? And you'd ask the question and let people start jumping in, and then you'll jump in too. And before you know it, it's a judgment call, but at least you'll get a bunch of content providers who do this for a living, just like you. And you'll go, okay, people weighed in. It sounds like if I put a landing page together, I shouldn't charge for it, but at least I can get their information. That's what I should do with it, not charge $3.
Right. Okay, got it. Yeah,
I
okay,
shouldn't
got it.
put it on my website for free. It's more than that.
Right. Right. Okay, got it. So basically it's cool to go in depending on the audience like that you're going into, but if it, like you said, the content thing, that would be okay to actually ask questions. Or like, let's say I'm looking for a job and I'm interested in like, hey, you know what, this person gave me an offer, it seems kind of low, does this seem like right? What do you guys think about this job offer? Like, how far?
I don't know, that sounds a little bit that sounds a little bit like you're going to a counseling session.
Okay, God. So this is not like, well, no, some of these groups are like that. Like you can do that, but this
if
is
you found a group that they go to that, that's great.
Okay, so this is
I
kind of
wouldn't be in that group very long.
so this is kind of like business meeting kind of stuff, right? Like if you were okay to have a business meeting with someone, then you talk to someone that you didn't know, this is like a business to business thing. It's not like a, I don't know, what should I do with my interview? Like that kind of
Right.
that
if
crossed the line.
But Quora is like a question answer.
Yes,
website.
I'm on Quora.
It's sort of on that level, right?
Yes.
Quora kind of questions are perfect. And as a matter of fact, LinkedIn used to have a section called Answers that was just like Quora. And people have been squawking since, like, why did you get rid of Answers? It was a great place for us to have these forums. So now the only forum place we really have is groups, or you can ask your network these things.
Right. Right. That's true.
Like I found my daughter a job by just simply going out to posting on LinkedIn a status update that my daughter's looking for a job this summer. I don't want to bother anybody, but does anybody know of anything in the Milwaukee area? And I got 5 job ping back to me. Was it a little personal? Yeah. Now, if I did that every day of the week, they go, Wayne, stop it with the job for your daughter, man. But I just thought every once in a while I should be able to ask my network for that because I'm usually teaching them about LinkedIn, right?
Right. Right, got it. Okay, interesting.
So I sort of earned the privilege to ask a personal question every once in a while.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. So every now and then you could ask your peeps, like, what should I do?
I mean, what I follow in those kind of things is a 6-3-1 rule. 6-3-1 equals 10. So for every 10 status updates that you share, 6 of them should be, and if 60% or 6 of them should be from other thought leaders up in the space that you occupy. 3 of them should be from you and your company, but still of an educational nature. And then 1 of them, you have the privilege to basically say, hey, this is what I sell. You want some? Right?
I love the 6-3-1.
So it means 90% of the time I'm helping you in this space,
Right.
but a guy's got to make a living.
Right. Like, why am I here giving all this stuff away? Okay. All right.
But
So
if you flip flop that, it's terrible, right?
that if I what?
If you flip flop that to 90%, buy my stuff, and only
Yeah.
10% of the time you're helping me,
Yeah.
go away, Wayne, disconnect.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I love this. I love the little rules of thumb like that. I love that. Okay. So you have stuff that in your book you go back and forth. Like how many connections? There are people in India, Africa. I'm like, who are these people? No. Like I'm not even sure who you are. Why are you trying to connect to me? What are you going to do with my information? I just get scared. So I have no offense to people from India or Africa, but it's just like people I don't know. I've never worked with. I don't really know. And then I did share my posts. And so I get people who are like HR people. I'm like, I guess I should accept this. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure who should accept. They're literally people who I know that I've worked with. I've done radio interviews with, like, I'm connected to those people. And that makes sense. And then everyone else. How do you know who to accept and who not to accept? And when is it too much? And I know you said it depends. Like if you're in a thought leadership consulting job where you want to get your word out there and then maybe push out, say yes to more people, what should one do?
So you are spot on with number one, accept invitations from somebody you've already met. That's a no-brainer. Just
Yep.
do that, right? But then the others, here's what I suggest to people.
Right.
Remembering this, LinkedIn loves bigger networks versus smaller networks, and you get more search juice, which we talked about way at the beginning of the conversation today. If you're connected to more people, you will end up higher in searches. It's another part of the magical search algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, we know there are people out there that are just trying to spam you and grab your email address and do
Is that
something.
what they're trying to do? I don't know what they're trying to do. I'm like,
that's what they're trying to do. Because once you're connected to somebody at the first degree, they now can scrape your email address and tell you that they're stuck in London and need 3 billion pounds wired over or something.
oh, that's what that is.
That's why
Okay.
they're doing it.
All right, that makes sense because I look at it, I'm like, are you just asking me for money? Is that why you want to connect? And like I like someone like Caldwell Banker, or Seattle Realtor. I'm like, why are you connecting with me? No, because I just assume you want something from me. Like it's like someone knocking on the door that's like, hello. Then I just
So
reject.
so really you got to step back and say, does the person look like a spammer?
Right.
Right? And a spammer would be somebody probably from another country where you don't do business in another country.
Right.
Hardly any information. Their picture is a joke or no picture. No, out,
Right.
ignore, be done with it. Because there are going to be some spammers. Second question, if they're not, they don't look like that, but you see they're from let's say there are other thought leaders and you have this radio show, right?
Right.
And because you got two things, you do your coaching and probably that's a little more local, and then you do the thought leadership thing, right? So if all of a sudden another author pops in and does not say what he wants, but maybe I sent him, right?
Right.
Maybe I said, oh, you should be on CJ's show. She was so much fun.
Right.
Go connect with her. And they don't say, hey, Wayne sent me.
Right.
They just come in and connect. You go, who's this other author guy from Milwaukee?
Right.
And you go, I'm not going to, before you say, I'm not, no, go, you know what? It might be a friend of Wayne's. He's an author. I need
Right.
experts like this.
Right.
And so if the person meets your target criteria,
Yes.
then I would say connect with them, but then don't just leave it as a connection. Then follow up with a note that says something like this. Hi, Scott. I noticed that you connected with me and you're an author. I would love, what was your purpose for connecting?
Okay. Okay. Oh,
Just
that's
ask that
good. It just
question.
seems like obnoxious to do, but I guess because I don't really know. I guess right now I'd be like someone from HR, which is an audience that I'd like to communicate. I assume she found one of my articles or one of my posts, and then she connected to me. But I don't know her, but she's part of the audience that I'd like to get to know better, like HR. So I'm like, okay, or like people who are senior managers. I don't know who they are, but I assume that they saw my post. I don't even know how they see my post. When I do a post, it gets shared to everyone on LinkedIn, like, or to my friends, or how does it even share?
It gets shared maybe to your first degree
Yes.
in the search, not the search algorithm, but the feed algorithm. But if all of a sudden I hit share, like it could get to my friends. Now that's your second degree. And all of a sudden, if one of my friends shares it, it could get to the third degree. right?
Uh,
So you never know where it's going to go, and you never know if all of a sudden I look at your profile for the first time and there's that activity box now that we just explained. I could read it even just because it was sitting there, and we've never connected.
okay, so that must be what happened because I don't really know this woman. I'm like, I don't know her. She's not someone I've literally met, but I assume that I actually have a group that actually shares some of my posts that they and some of them get like 15, 20 shares. I don't even know how many. So it could be that someone within that 15, 20 share network, second or third connection, got it.
Right.
Oh, I see. So then I should say yes because probably
Yeah, if they meet your target audience,
yeah. Okay.
I
Okay.
would say yes, but then just don't leave it. Then basically ask the question, what was your intention for connecting?
Yeah.
Can
It's
I help
like
with something? And then all of a sudden my friend will go, well, Wayne Breitbarth sent me over because he said he had a lot of fun on your radio show. And I also wrote this book and I think my topic would be interesting for you. And you go, oh, great. But only until you prompted me, because a lot of people simply just push the buttons instead of writing a custom invite, which they should have
that's
said,
what I do.
right? The custom invite is really the right. And I typically tell my friends, listen, if you're going to reach out to CJ, send her an invitation, but mention that you talked to me and that I suggested you come over because she's got this really cool show, right?
Right.
And they should do that, except they're sitting on their phone at the airport and they're not realizing it's three little dots up at the top. Allow me to do a custom invite. They just hit the checkbox and go, oh, I couldn't send her that little note. Well, you can, but it's the three little dots that are up in the corner. So LinkedIn does not make it easy
Okay,
sometimes.
got it. Got it.
So,
Okay.
so if they're in your target audience, that's a hit too. But then if they're not, if they're a spammer, you throw them out. If they're in your target audience, consider that. If it doesn't meet either of those criteria, then you have to really look at their profiles and go, you know what? I don't see anything here. I don't
Okay.
see any reason why I'd want to connect with this real estate person in Seattle, like you just mentioned, right?
Right. Right.
And then you either hit ignore or you can hit the reply button. There is a reply button, and you could have a standard thing like this. Hi, Joe. I don't think we've ever met before. People in my network I've typically met. What was your purpose for connecting? And that'll scare away every spammer in the world. And just cut and paste that if you want. If you're worried about not just hitting ignore.
Right. Right. Okay,
Some
got it.
people will go take the time to do that.
Yeah, because some people I'm like, I don't know who you are. Like I see that they're like a senior, whatever, whatever, in a company. I'm like, they may have just saw my article and want to connect, right? I don't really know. So I guess I could just say, hey, just oh, thanks for connecting. Tell me how I may know you or how you got familiar with my materials. Is there anything I can do to help? And they're like, oh, I just try to, just want to see your feed going forward. But I'm just going like, okay, accept what I look at. I'm like, I don't look creepy. Okay, accept.
Yeah, I think the opportunity you're missing there, CJ,
Yeah.
is that there could be some referrals brewing,
Yes. I don't even know.
and you might have hit ignore,
You're right.
right?
You're right.
And
Oh,
that's a
that's
missed
true.
opportunity, right? That's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we have 2 more minutes. Oh my God, how did we go? How did this go so quickly? Oh my
Come on,
God.
your clock is wrong.
All right. So, God, we haven't just hit. Ah,
Gotta
I
do
run
this
out of time. Okay,
We
so
need round two.
I know we do need round two. Okay, so question for you. So you actually have, you have on your website, you actually have for people who are looking for a job that can't necessarily attend a face-to-face workshop. You have a presentation that you did for job hunters, and then is that on the powerformula.net?
Yes, powerformula.net, free resources tab. Click the video, slide down, and there's two 1 hour presentations, a full 2 hours of job seeker LinkedIn presentation, no charge. Have fun.
Woo! We love you, Wayne. Okay. Now the second thing is for salespeople. What do you have for that?
For salespeople, best thing to do, I have a course. And if you just go to the homepage, you'll see Explode Your Revenues Using LinkedIn. And it's an online course. And that will take you through step-by-step videos, worksheets. It's as if you came to my beginner class and my sales class here in Milwaukee or in Chicago or wherever I've done those, but you do it in the comfort of your own home, little short videos, vignettes, and training. It's like I'm sitting right here.
Right, and you're like, CJ, click on this box.
I'm
make sure that
coaching
you,
you.
and then I can actually like it's like you're spoon feeding me because in your book we've been talking about the power formula for LinkedIn success. You have like week 1, 2, 3, 4 things that you should be doing, but if I get the video, are you like spoon feeding me stuff? So it's like,
Big time. And with a baby spoon.
oh, like I need a baby spoon. So that's actually if you're selling, is it physical product, consulting, anything?
Any of the above.
Okay, cool. And how long
Even for
is
like a nonprofit, if a nonprofit is looking for more donors and volunteers, if you think about it, all it is do you need more of some people,
right? Okay, got it.
buyers, donors,
Anything,
volunteers?
anytime that you're building a relationship with someone
That's
is
it. That's
considered
right.
sales, and I could actually have you baby spoon feed me. I
Yeah.
need to be baby spoon fed.
I give it a sippy cup.
Well, what happens is I'm like, this is great. And then, I'll start during the weekend and I'll like make a huge amount of progress. And then I'm like, I'm just tired. I don't do
Yeah,
anything afterwards.
I'm pretty impressed by the fact I could see you use that book.
I did. Look, see,
Yes, I could see that.
I'm one of those hosts that actually does read the book. And I
Great
try
stuff.
to do this stuff, but I'll try to do the workshop. I think that the workshop would be good. How many weeks is it?
Well, that's work at your own pace. It's really not by the week.
Okay, got it. But it's like what of like like 3 or 4 hours of my life.
Yeah, I would say if you went straight through, but you never would. It's too much.
Yeah,
Your
yeah, yeah.
eyes spinning in the back of your head.
Yeah, got it. All right, this has been fabulous. Can we have you on again? That was just fun beyond belief.
You have to be back on. I had so much fun too. It's a blast.
Okay,
Thanks for
good.
having me.
Yes, I loved it. All right, we've been talking to Wayne Breitbarth, and we've been talking about his book, The Power Formula for LinkedIn Success. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
All